So South Korea continues to swelter under record-breaking heat, with some parts of the country climbing above 40 degrees Celsius this week. For more on this, we're joined today by Professor Yoon Jin-ho, professor at the School of Earth Sciences and Environmental Engineering at Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology. Professor Yoon, thanks for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
So I don't think I've ever experienced this hot before. Some parts of the country recorded their highest ever temperature this week. Why has this year been so hot, and what's driving this record-breaking heat wave? And from a scientist's point of view, was a heat wave like this something you saw coming?
Well, this summer's the heat wave and it's unprecedented, and it's driven by those very large-scale atmospheric circulations. The temperature in Korea during summertime is depending on how high or how strong the high-pressure system is over the Korean peninsula. But this year happens to be that the North Pacific high, which I believe you heard, and then the Tibetan high, which is supposed to be a bit away from Korean peninsula, but it just happens to be both got extended and it covers over the South Korea. So that we becomes, in a way, like a hotspot for those high pressure. That means it's the temperature in Korea is getting very, very high, and we have a heat wave, tropical nights, and so on like that. From a scientific perspective, let's just rewind the time back to maybe 10 years. Around the time when the temperature is above 35 degrees, the daily maximum temperature above 35 was something, and we talked about, in the news like this. But now we are talking about temperature above 40 and 38, 39. But just think about our body temperature. The normal body temperature is 36, 37. But then when you go outside, the temperature of the air is higher than that. So we are getting into some sort of a regime that we haven't experienced. So meaning that we are getting into some kind of new territory of the summer climate. And this likely to become a normal in the coming years. So that's something we worry about.
Right, that sounds very concerning. And today is Ipchu, which is traditionally marks the beginning of autumn. When do you think we'll finally start to feel a break from this extreme heat?
Well, sorry to tell you that, but likely till like next week, we are going to experience this sort of a heat. But the peak may be around early next week, but then around the Marbo, which is 14th of this month, and then in the middle of August is the 15th. So climatologically and seasonally, after August 15, we see that the summer is a start to retreat, and hopefully the fall will come in. That's likely the scenario for this year. So until like next week, we are experiencing heat wave, but the peak may be at maybe early part of the next week. But then when the next week, after the August 18th, or the 15th, sorry, then we may start to feel that, we may get some sort of break from the heat wave, and we are getting into fall seasons.
Right, and like you just said, a lot of experts say extreme heat could become the new normal. Now, next summer could be even hotter than this year. How concerned should we be about that?
I just mentioned earlier, 10 years ago, we talked about in the news when the temperature is above 35. But now, this year, we are talking about 38 and 40 degrees, 41 degrees, like that. So the global warmings make it such a way that the mean or the normal, the bar has to be, just go up quite a bit. So even the summer is, not this hot, this warm, hotter, but we are still experiencing maybe 35, 36. So, and then if you count the extreme hot summers, that all comes down to last 10 years, last 15 years. And within that range, we are seeing the hottest summers, top 10 and top 5 or something like that. So we are getting into something new. We just have to prepare to reduce the health risk and so on like that.
Right, absolutely. All right, Professor Yoon, I'm afraid that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for coming on today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.